So the main kind of guts of what we're going to talk about tonight is the corrupt guru. Now, the corrupt guru is like an archetype. It's an energy that we see in day-to-day life, and it's essentially it's the best way to describe it is men of high decree, men of leadership, men of supposed morals and ethics, men as leaders in their field, basically secretly doing something else. And we're going to go through a bunch of case studies, but essentially this energy here is men who are motivated to feed off this sexual commoditization of the feminine, and they want to go into these positions of power so they can do this. They are completely motivated to be leaders in their field for this sole purpose, pretty much. And we can see this all through society, guys, and it's a real serious thing. And it's all this archetypal energy there's a full spectrum of it, from like the schoolyard stuff to, you know, political, geopolitical, global, genocidal stuff as well. And it's a real amazing thing to start identifying or looking at. So, this is sexuality from a place of control, commodity, and infinite consumption. Insatiability. This kind of consumption of the feminine in this way by the masculine, the Buddhists call this this sort of sexual consumption the hungry ghost. It can't be satiated, right? Where people just want more and more and more, and they don't really understand why they're here, and they just go into this whole realm of wanting to control women. So there's a lot of places where we can see this happening in society. So many men are zealously motivated to become leaders in their field in order to delve into the perceived commodity of women. So what I mean by commodity? Commodity is almost making it's taking the human element out, where men are looking at women as a commodity, like something like a transactional kind of thing, and it's really serious stuff. And the way we get programmed like this, and a lot of these misogynistic elements come into our society, especially through the media, through family and upbringing, and through what we call sexual regulation societies. And this is basically, religions. So a lot of this sort of stuff around male superiority and patriarchy, they call it, comes from monotheistic religions. We've covered this a few times in different workshops. And this is essentially, in our culture, Judeo-Christian and Muslim religious kind of issues here, where they promote men as leaders, where this kind of gives people who subscribe to those religions, it makes people feel like they have the right to treat women in this way. The other thing as well, when men decide they want to basically attack women in this way on whatever level, they can also kind of look at how they want to do it and can tune into the collective field of human consciousness that we've talked about in previous workshops. This Akashic field of human consciousness is not just a positive thing. It's also a negative thing. It's all there. So if you want to learn techniques and ways in which to feed off women and demonize women, it's all available in the Akashic field. The other way people get programmed is through porn and Christmas. And this is this whole idea of excess, the exposure. And by porn I mean like the media and sexuality. All of it, this constant influx of just all this sexual imagery. Okay, this creates this huge excess variety of sexuality in people's lives. And then this whole issue of Christmas is very interesting, because Christmas sets up a compounding process in children through years of self-entitlement, like I'm going to get a present, that we constantly deserve to get something. And you can look at Christmas as a really lovely thing, that's all good too. But I'm saying that we do have this self-deserving issue in our culture, which is often these sorts of things like Christmas support a lot of the excess consumption in our culture. So this is kind of sexuality from a place of excess consumption. So people kind of go out there into the world, and particularly the masculine, with this idea that they deserve to go into this excess consumption of the feminine. But then they're like, oh, how can I do that? And often, subscribing to the archetype of the corrupt guru is a way they can.
You're talking about the male to the female?
Yes.
Rather than the masculine to the feminine?
Yes. I say masculine and feminine sometimes because I don't want to completely generalize and identify these archetypes into men and women, because I understand there's a lot of different sort of sexualities and gender identities out there.
Cougars.
No?
There's cougars out there.
That's right. You know? Okay. So, there's cougars out there. Now,
so you're saying it's a masculine trait, this insatiable hungry ghost?
I'm saying that hungry ghost is a Buddhist term around the attitude you can get in yourself as a man or woman to become obsessed with infinite consumption of basically sensual endeavours, whether it be food or sex or this sort of thing, consumption, infinite consumption. And when you become obsessed with this sort of thing, there's no satiability, there's no point where you become satisfied.
So I understand that. I struggle to apply either masculine or feminine to this act of we were seeing things consume another in excess. You know, for me, I see the qualities of masculine and feminine playing on both sides of that.
Yeah.
I was just asking.
Yeah. What I'm applying this to at the moment is the fact that there's huge misogynistic issues in our society around male control and systematic demonization and blackmail of women.
Okay.
Yeah. So I'm going to go through some case studies here, guys, just to kind of get a bit of spectrum on how this is actually happening. So I will just mention what's happening with Donald Trump, okay? So just around what was happening with the fact that he was owned the Miss Universe pageant and the Teen Miss Universe pageant, and then it's just come out that he was going into the change rooms of the Miss Teen Universe pageant because he's the boss, and he's set up a system around himself where that he can't get in trouble with anyone because he owns the whole thing, he owns the place, he's employing everyone, so he can just do what he wants, but he's in a place of basically feeding his own sexuality through this sort of systematic control that he's set up. A lot of these situations where men set these situations up, they're very intricate and very clever in how they do it so they can't get caught out. Alright? And this is the society we live in. Bikram yoga is another one. The Bikram yoga dude was married up until January this year, and he had a long history of basically sexually assaulting students. There's been some pretty serious rape allegations made against him, and basically being in this intense superiority complex of feeling like that he's that rich and that powerful that he could just do this to students and then get away with it. And his wife, it all kind of came out at the beginning of this year when his wife divorced him and said she's had enough, you know, and it's like, that's an example of a power structure where they're like, oh, what can I get out of this? How can I feed off women in this way, and how can I get away with it? Alright, this is what's going on. This is this whole corrupt guru thing, is how it's like this kind of this leader, right? They're perceived as some kind of leader, some like epic yoga teacher, but what are they actually doing behind the scenes? Some of these examples are really serious, guys. So recently a Brazilian girl was raped by 30 men, and she came out about it in the media and trying to get these guys prosecuted. And basically through the police system in Rio de Janeiro where it happened, they were all just blaming her. Yeah, that's in Brazil. That is looking at her as being the basically as in a system where they're looking at if they can blame her enough, then they start to treat the men like the victims of her promiscuity. 30 guys. A Dutch woman was raped in Qatar, right? She woke up in a hotel and she realised she'd been drugged and that she'd been raped. She went to the police station where she said what happened, and then she was arrested for being raped. Okay? And she was given a lenient sentence of like maybe just a few months or something like that. In a culture where having sex out of wedlock, even if you're raped, is illegal. Okay? Right? So this is the sort of thing I'm talking about. So she was arrested. Another example. A woman, 19-year-old, was raped in Canada recently, and she was in front of the top judge in Canada. The top judge. Alright? And he said to her, "Why didn't you keep your legs together? Sex and pain sometimes go together." This is an exact kind of position of the archetype, the corrupt guru here, where the top judge in Canada is saying this to a young woman, going, "It's your fault. What were you doing?" Right? And this is like the sort of, in these cultures, this is how we're learning around how to treat each other in our sexualities between men and women. Okay? This is the top judge. Right? He's in a bit of trouble now. I mean, even his daughter, who is a rape victim, has come out and said, "I'm a rape victim. This is what my dad said. This is wrong." Okay?
Was he the rapist?
Oh,
Probably has.
unknown. Justice Robin Camp. This is probably one of the most evil judges. You come across. That's his name. Camp made me hate myself, feel that I was some kind of slut. That's what the girl said in a report. Now, the swimmer, Brock Turner in California. This is a guy who is a rapist who's been portrayed as a victim by the media. How does that work? This guy was a young swimming athlete who raped a girl behind a dumpster at a university, was caught by 2 European students who pulled him off her. She was unconscious. She later woke up in hospital. They held on to him till the police came. And then as the story went into the media, they were talking about how it's such a shame because he had such a beautiful potential and that his swimming times were really impressive and that he was the victim of some kind of misunderstanding. They didn't talk about the fact that she woke up in hospital, went through a very, 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 very traumatic experience. She wrote an amazing letter to him, the rapist, and the judge, and read it aloud in court, and it went viral and was read on CNN. And her statement goes into the long-term effects of what's happening in her body from being traumatized in that way. She can't sleep with the light out in the dark. She's basically going through huge emotional issues, and her nervous system is completely different from when it happened, and she's a real mess. And this guy got given a very, 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 very small sentence based on the system that sees the male as the victim of some kind of misunderstanding or over promiscuity of the woman. It's very, very, very wrong.